2 years ago, on 15th of February, in front of the security building in Benghazi, the beginning of the revolution started with the families of the Muslim prisoners, political prisoners, especially the mothers and the wives. They came out there, standing there, they start demanding for their rights and to know what happened to their kids. And from there, with the inspiration from the Tunisian revolution and the Egyptian revolution, the women exploded and they screamed the first screams for the fall of the regime and for the city of Benghazi to rise against this dogma and this dictatorship.
Libyan revolution marks a watershed moment in Libyan history, and more specifically in the history of women's participation in the public space. Women were at the forefront of the demonstrations as protesters, medical workers, and aid providers, as well as organizing behind the scenes and in the diaspora, calling for political change and a just, inclusive transition to democracy. However, they have been systematically excluded from the public sphere, facing intense depoliticization and silencing at a crucial moment in their national political transformation process.
المرأة الليبية هي نفسها قبل الثورة وبعد الثورة، ما اختلف هو الوضع. المرأة الليبية بكل إمكانياتها كانت موجودة قبل الثورة، ولكن كانت تخاف المبادرة لأن الوضع أو المحيط لا يشجع على الخوض. بعد الثورة اختلف الوضع، زال النظام وبقت المرأة الليبية كأن هناك حجاب كان، أزيل الحجاب وظهرت المرأة كما هي.
Since the revolution started, the woman, she was in the court, she was in the risky time, she was fighting in the front line, she was cooking in very serious, period. She was supporting her son, supporting her husband to go and fight for his country, even she know maybe he will not come back. So I think we already represent the strong vision, but we want to make sure we are in the same level, we are still around, we still involved in all this process.
I was in the front of the courthouse in the beginning, on the 17th of February. We didn't took our part or role from the men. We did our decision by ourselves. In the beginning of the revolution, I was one of the member in the coalition of 17th of February. We established the first city council in Libya after the revolution and the first military council. And after that, we found that the women really excluded from the NTC. After that, we start thinking that we have to be together.
It was very, very good, but I was really very shocked because we didn't have our rights after the revolution in the post and the decision maker and all these things. So this is that's why I was a little bit angry.
The Libyan revolution appears here similar to other Arab revolutions to present a gender paradox. On the one hand, women are the politically empowered agents of the revolution and change. On the other hand, they are the victims of a new kind of political violence and exclusion.
Making the Libyan women a political woman, that will be a successful idea?
Yeah, the interesting thing is that Libyan women are already political, because politics to us in our region, and especially in the case of Libya, you have to translate it in your reality. Politics means getting the right people in the right places, so your children would never starve, so you would not have corruption. So, women are absolutely, they're issue-oriented.
طبعاً نحن دعينا إلى هذا المؤتمر الذي كان برعاية مؤسسة كرامة. طبعاً هذا المؤتمر كان لوضع بصمة المرأة في ليبيا الجديدة.
On the 7th of October 2011, before the fall of Gaddafi, Karama convened in Cairo a group of 35 activists to chart priorities for women's movement after Gaddafi. The participants at this meeting decided that an overarching women's organization or movement was needed to combine their efforts and present a unified voice for women's rights to the NTC and to the international community as well. What emerged was a movement called the Libyan Women's Platform for Peace, a national-level network.
منبر المرأة الليبية من أجل السلام بالنسبة لي تجربة فريدة جدا. بالنسبة لي كان تحدي كبير جدا أنني نغادر ليبيا في تلك الظروف الصعبة. تعرفت على شخصيات وقياديات في منهم من كنت أراهم في شاشات التلفزيون في خلال المظاهرات في بنغازي. كانت دفع لي للأمام أنني أقحمت نفسي وحاولت أنني نطور من قدراتي حتى نصل وأكون عضو في المؤتمر الوطني.
بالنسبة لي كان أول اجتماع من نوعه، يعني كاجتماع سياسي كما قلت لك، أنه من نشاطاتي السابقة كانت اشتراك في الكشافة. لم يكن في بالي أني أنا نرشح نفسي، ولكن كنت بندعم. ولكن لما رجعنا ليبيا وتحررت طرابلس فتغيرت المعايير، وبديت نفكر في الدخول العمل السياسي. وكانت في الأول نبي ندخل المؤتمر الوطني، ولكن بعدين غيرت رأيي على أساس إني نبي نبدأ العمل السياسي كما قلت، نتعلم العمل السياسي في الحكم المحلي.
During 2012, in conjunction with the UN Women and Karama, the Libyan Women's Platform for Peace launched a program called Libyan Women's Political Empowerment, aimed at empowering women in Libya to become active participants and leaders of political, economic, and social reforms.
My first involvement with the Libyan Women Platform for Peace, it was in Egypt. And really I find what they are doing really great, because they have the relations with the political organizations outside Libya, and they can send our voice in Libya to the international communities, and this is very important to us. The elections, they did very good job, especially in changing the elections law, because the first elections law, which behind it was Mustafa Abdel, there was no chance to women, even to a single woman, to reach to the national organization which we have now leading the country. There was no chance even to a single woman to reach to this place.
First, meeting, it was focusing about the election law, specifically about the quota issue, describe the difference between the list, between the independents, how to be encourage the Libyan women to be part from this process from the beginning till to be member from the GNC, which is perfect now. We have a big number of women represent the GNC, and from my opinion, I think Libyan Women Platform playing a huge role to support that, which is perfect, because after these meetings we have several dialogue between the civil society and the people who represent the government and who's supposed to be in charge to take these decisions. They are pushing and they are using the pressures to make sure we have a voice. We want to play political role for Libyan future.
The Libyan Women's Platform for Peace implemented a series of capacity building consultations in multiple cities around Libya: Tripoli, Benghazi, Darna, Misrata. Participants also included those from the south, Sabha and Obari, as well as Zuara of the Amazigh. The consultation meetings were on topics related to the elections, the electoral law, the constitutional process, strategic communication tactics, security, and national reconciliation. Initially, the Libyan Women's Platform for Peace advocated for a quota of 30% for women. However, the NTC removed quota provisions from the drafts of the electoral law, with a quota looking increasingly unlikely. The Libyan Women's Platform for Peace rapidly moved to develop a draft of an alternative law that provided for women's representation through a zipper list system requiring political parties to alternate between male and female candidates on their lists. In 52 years, women have won 17.5%, so this was a success story. 60% of Libyans turned out for the elections with over 1.7 million ballots, 624 women running for seats. The greatest victory was for inclusion and representation of women.
As a result of this, closed zipper list horizontally and vertically, we had about 32 women out of 80 seats that are allocated for the lists. But the problem is that we have about 120 seats for individuals, and in the absence of quota, we have about 89 women, candidates. Only one of them got a seat.
Post-Gaddafi Libya is burdened with its thorny past, yet remains full of promise. For 4 decades, Gaddafi destroyed the infrastructure as well as the moral fabric of the Libyan society. Gaddafi's tyrannical regime left behind seeds of diversions. The lack of an institutional infrastructure has given the Libyan people a chance to rebuild their nation anew.
We are planning on forming a committee of women from different cities to call for peace and national reconciliation, because it is the mother that wants to bring all nations together. It is the call of all mothers to end the bloodshed.
نحن الليبيات باستطاعتنا في المصالحة الوطنية يكون لنا التأثير الأكبر.
حقيقة المحور الأمن الحديث فيه يكون.
The idea of the peace platform culminated in December 2012 with a national conference in Tripoli. The idea was to foster a long-term, meaningful dialogue between civil society, lawmakers, Libyan Women's Platform for Peace activists, senior members of militias, and politicians that will raise awareness about constitutional drafting, security concerns, and national transition. They presented GNC President Mohamed Mgariev with a program of their recommendations about these crucial issues facing Libya.
جيش ما عندنا جيش، وهذا كلام من وزير الدفاع ومن رئيس الأركان، وما يبوش يسلموا سلاحهم. أنا أقول لكم بصراحة، أنا ما نصحش الثوار اليوم يسلموا سلاحهم.
It was the first time armed revolutionaries or militias were invited in a civil society activity.
On the second anniversary of the 17th February Revolution, Libyan Women's Platform for Peace, alongside with other civil society activists and human rights activists, convened to discuss alarming events that were taking place, especially against women.
لاحظنا أن في تهجم على الناشطات السياسيات من بعض الجماعات المتطرفة، فهذه الأشياء عطتنا مؤشرات ما يتمش الخوض فيها.
Such abuse is either condoned as being in the name of the revolution or given religious credence, although unsanctioned by moderate Islam. On account of this, many human rights activists and civil society organizations have come together to monitor this situation and make recommendations on combating such abuse to be submitted to the official authorities. Religious discourse in a matter that highlights human rights and ensures human freedom and dignity was our first recommendation. Our second recommendation was enforcing the rule of law and obliging the implementing bodies. We also recommended a circulation of a note to all those who work to insecurity apparatus, calling them to respect women. We also recommended that the endowment of or religious affairs ministry to train and build the capacities of mosque preachers and prevent them from incitement against women.
يحترموني كوني مرأة، كون المجتمع الليبي معيب جدا أن المرأة ما تعاملش معاملة دلال، لكن الجدية في أخذ أو استقبال ما يطرح عليهم من قبلي كانت غير حقيقية.
Women are not participating in reconciliations or in negotiations, peace negotiations, but within our work at the GNC, I see that some women, my friends, are now part of these committees and they are part of this peace negotiation and they are doing a very good job. The only problem that most of the time when they are forming committees, they forget to include women, although we are there working very hard, you know, to achieve peace within our society.
What I hope for Libya in the future,
equal opportunity in all sectors.
It is to have a Libya that respects the rule of law.
I would like a civil state.
As a mother and as a grandmother, I hope that
Libya that respects dignities and human rights.
All Libyans have a secure and safe life.
I would like to see a more inclusive Libya in the future.
Libya, they should have, they should get better chance in life.
They have his own dream. They believe in themselves.
I hope much of education.
Constitution.
I would like to see Libya that respects every human being for what he is or she is.
Respect diversity.
I hope the peace.
And a good education. I hope for them to live a good life because we have a nice country.
And now is our chance to open the channels for Libyans to know everything so nobody can control them anymore.
I wish to see that day.
And I hope that my children and my grandchildren live this kind of life in their new country, inshallah.